Women in Combat by Mercy Groff. The act of allowing women in combat had been an exceedingly controversial and debated issue until the early 1990s. In that decade, laws that prohibited women from serving in the air in combat were revoked. As the turn of the century came about, and conflict arose requiring the U.S.'s military participation, a question resurfaced in regards to whether or not women should have the same roles as men in the military. I chose to research this topic about women in combat. Though I don't really have a particularly passionate stance in regards to this topic, I was curious as to what other people think. I wondered and was eager to research why people do and do not want women soldiers to have more responsibility in serving the military. I also thought my predominantly impartial stance on this topic would help me research and deliver a more unbiased account. In enacting laws, the Civil Rights Division works to uphold the basic human rights of all American individuals. This division supports and enforces laws and regulations that prohibit discrimination based on one's race, color, sex, disability, religion, and the like. They venture to be true to the dream of equal rights for all. I found this division in the Department of Justice of the Federal Executive Branch. This topic is about the injustice of not allowing women in combat due to their genetically quote-unquote weaker build than men. This division draws from the Constitution in fighting for equality and civil rights of all, implying men and women are to be treated as equals rather one being less or more valuable than the other. Based on what they say they stand for, this division can assist in resisting the negative prejudice and stigma against women in combat, and in general prohibit sex discrimination in military operations. The level of government that has the most power for this issue would be mostly the state government. You see, the issue of women in combat is a decision that would affect the people. Therefore, it is their responsibility to decide whether or not they want it. It is a 10th Amendment right to and for the people. Of course, the federal government would, in any decision, be needed to help create, pass, and interpret laws. However, I think this issue is particularly one to be reckoned with by the state government. As of December 2016, Congress changed draft registration laws, that at that point only had relevance to males, to include women. As U.S. military services began implementing the new policy, many women entered previously closed military occupations, and the U.S.'s army and military count increased. The military occupational opportunities continue to grow for women to this day. Since these new policies were implemented, Congress continues to monitor that the status of those gender-neutral standards is kept as a priority in the military. Of the two-party system that has helped shape this country, there is the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, both of which have diametrically opposed opinions about the topic of women in combat. The Republican Party of America is more traditional in their belief system, at least when regarding women and the roles they play. On the subject of women in combat, Republicans believe that women should be allowed to serve in the military, but minimally, and that they ought to be exempted from direct combat units. As for the Democratic Party, they are truly known for their aspiration of equality in gender, sexuality, race, religion, the works. So in this case, it is no surprise to hear that the Democratic Party of America roots for and supports the movement of women in combat and is proud of the headway that the cause has made. Interest groups that fight for women's rights and equality, such as the National Organization for Women and the National Women's Political Caucus, are raising support for issues such as this, and are delighted upon the headway that the issue of women in combat has made as they go by the words of promoting equality and justice in our society and achieving equality for all women. This has been my issue project. Thank you for listening and have a lovely day.